Hello to everyone, welcome back to the Python course. In this video, we're just going to cover one of the most used data types in Python, which there are lists. We're just going to get known how to create them, how to access them, how to slice them, how to insert, update, or maybe delete them. So let's do this. As the first view for you guys, I've just brought for you guys an example to get known to the fundamental of what is going on through the lists and what are the information about the lists. So there are four stuff about the list that you have to know, and it is important. The first thing it is lists are ordered. It means lists maintain the order of inserted elements. So every item you put there is just going to be ordered as you've just defined it. Lists are mutable. So every element in the list can be modified or deleted. Lists are heterogeneous. This means lists can contain data of different data types. And finally, lists allow duplicates. So if you just want to store duplicates values in your list, it is completely okay. And in this example that you guys see, we've defined the name of our list, my_list. We have used the equal sign, and we have used a set or a pair of square brackets to put the items in our list. So when we are just defining a list, we're just going to use a pair of square brackets. And we're just going to put our items in it, and for separating the items, we're just going to use comma. So as I just told you guys, lists are heterogeneous, and this is just shown here. The first item, it is integer. The second item, it is string format, and the third item, it is in float format. So this is actually working really well. And if you just want to access the items in your list, you're just going to call the name of your list in this example that you guys can see. And you have to use another time a square bracket, and you have to call the index of your item included in your list. So let's speak more about the indexes in the list that we're just gonna use. This is another list, and here this time we have different items like numbers 3, 4, 6, 10, and 8. So 5 items and 5 indexes. But how we could access these indexes? There are two ways that you can just access the indexes through the items included in your list. We have positive indexes and negative indexes. So the rule, it is defined like this. The first item in your list, it starts its index from 0 to the end or the last item that it is included in your list. So every time that we're just going to define our list, the first index is just going to be 0. And it's just going to continuously grow its number by the integer format. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And on the other side, we've got negative indexes. So negative indexes actually starts from the last item in the list. So as you guys can see, in the positive index, we've started from the first item, but in the negative index, we're just gonna start from the last item. So for accessing the items through your list by using negative indexing, you're just gonna access your items from the last item, and the last item index in the list, it is defined from -0, and it's just gonna be decreased through the first of the list. So -1, -2, -3. But this is called reverse indexing, and you can access your items through everything or every way that you just want to choose. There is no matter, it is something personal. So let's go through the code for getting on more through what is going on in the list. And in this code, we're just gonna create, access, and manipulate the lists. So let's do this. The first things first, we have to create a list. So lists are created by placing all items inside your square brackets and separated by commas, as I told you. And lists can contain items of different data types like integer, strings, floats, and every possible and available data type. So I'm just gonna create 2 list. I'm just gonna define my list including 5 numbers and using only a list included of integers, and I'm just going to create a mixed type list. And I'm just going to define its name, mixed list, which includes one apple 3.14 and true. So the first item, it is integer, second one it is a string, third one it is float, and last one it is boolean. And in the last videos we've speak about how to create variables, variable naming rules, and different data types, and you can just check them. So finally, I'm just going to print both lists. So as I told you how to create lists, I'm just going to run this cell to see what is going on here. So the code was successful, and first list, it is integer list that it is speaking about the numbers, and the second one, it is mixed list, which it had different data types. Let's continue with accessing list elements, and we're just gonna access elements in the list using their index. As I told you how we could use this in two different ways. So I'm just gonna define a new variable called first element, and I'm just gonna choose the first element of my list. What was my list? My list, it is here. I'm just gonna show you guys my list. So this is my list, that it is a list of integers, and the first item of it is number 1. And as I told you, the first item that you're just going to access it through your list, it could be used through the 0 index. And I'm just going to access to the last item of my list using negative indexing or reverse indexing. So the last item in my list, it is number 5. So we're just going to use both ways to see how to access through the list through different formats. And I'm just going to comment this line because we're just going to speak more about it in the continuation of the video. So the first element accessing, it is 1, and the last item, it is 5. The important thing here, it is this. When we're just going to define a variable and call the index of our element, as you guys can see, I'm calling the first index of my list. The real item or the real value of the list is just going to be shown for me. So this time here, you guys can see my list index 0, it shows me number 1, and the last index, or in reverse indexing, the -1 index through my list is just going to show me the value of number 5. Let's give it an example. I'm just going to change this to 1 and this one to -3. Let me run it to see what is going on. So let's go through this. The index 1 from my list, I'm just going to go through it, and this is my list, and index 1, it is this. So 0, 1, and it must be shown number 2 for me, and yes, it is showing. But let's go through the -3 index. As I told you, in the reverse indexing, we're just gonna start from the last item and we're just gonna decrease the numbers. So -1, -2, and -3. So -3 is supposed to be showing the 3 number, and it is showing. So this is actually working completely well. Let me comment these lines, and let's go through the slicing, and let me just do this, and let's access a range of elements by slicing from the list. So if you just want to slice a defined range in your list and available range in your list, you're just gonna set the start and the last of your range that you're just gonna access. So let me just run it, and here you guys can see this is a subset of the list, or this is a sub list that I'm just gonna define and create it. And the output format is just gonna be included in a list even though. And as I've defined the subset, and in the print function I say the subset of the list, and I've just accessed the elements through my list by slicing it. So let's see what is going on here. I just say started from index 1 to index 4. So let's go through this, and this is my list. So the index 1, it is number 2, and I just said go until index 4. So index 0 up to index 4. But what was the result? The result was showing me 2, 3, and 4. So 2, 3, and 4. This it means index 1, 2, 3. But we've just defined it up to index 4. And the important thing it is here. Index 4, it is not included. This is the roof that we're just going to define. If we're just going to include the number 5 or the index 4, we're just going to add this another number. So up to index 5. I know the index 5, it is not available in the list, but if you just want to slice your list, you're just gonna do it. So this was everything that you need to know for how to access and slice through your list. Let's go for some manipulating stuff in the list. And as I told you, lists are mutable, so we can change the elements or the structure of the stuff that we're just gonna use. I'm just gonna give you guys some examples for adding, inserting, removing, and finally updating. And I'm just gonna print the modified list in the final result. So I'm just gonna add an element at the end of the list. So by using and calling my list and using that append function, I'm just gonna put the value that I'm just gonna add through my list. Next, I'm just gonna insert an element at a specific position. So by using insert function, you're just gonna send 2 values through this function, and even though by using a dot and before it calling your list name. So I'm just gonna call the name of my list, which it is my list dot insert, and I'm just gonna send 2 values to it. The first value is the index of value that you're just gonna put in it, and the next value, it is the value that you're just gonna put there, or the item that you just wanna insert through your list. So the value 10 is just gonna be inserted through index 2. And let me remove one of the elements from a list, and I'm just gonna call my list, use remove function, and here if you're just gonna call 3, it's just gonna remove the first occurrence of 3 from the list, and we're just gonna see what 3 does we mean, the value 3 or index 3. And finally, I'm just gonna update an element in the list. I'm just gonna call my list, and I'm just gonna call its index, so index 0. As we know, index 0 was number 1, and I'm just gonna change the value of the first element to 100. And finally, I'm just gonna execute the cell to see what is the updated list. So we just update the element, and 1 got changed into 100, and we removed number 3 from the list. As you guys can see, there is no available number 3 in the list, so it removes the value by calling the remove function. We just insert an element in a specific position by using insert function. So we just added a value of 10 through the index 2. So index 0, index 1, and index 2. This is actually worked really well. And finally, we've added an element, and when we're just gonna add an element, it's just gonna be added through the last available index of your list. So number 6, it just got added through the last item through my list. And as the conclusion of this video, we just learned how to create a list, including different data types, how to access them through indexing and slicing. And finally, we just learned how to modify our list by adding, removing, updating, and inserting different ways. Thank you guys for watching the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe to my channel, leave me a comment, and check out my other videos through my YouTube channel. I wish you guys the greatest and the greatest of the time. Stay high.